Hello, my wonderful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your time zone or anytime you are coming across this platform. If it is your first time and you like what you are watching, kindly subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notifications so that you'll be able to know when we upload a new video. Here in Linda's TV show, we react to all forms of videos, local and international, especially what is happening in Nigeria. I want to seize this opportunity to appreciate YouTube for creating this wonderful platform for us to use to disseminate information. At the same time, I am putting a disclaimer that this platform, Linda's TV show, do not in any way promote misleading information, hate speech, or violence. I do not like those things, so I will never promote them in my platform. We are here to educate and inform the members of the public what is happening.
You on Nnamdi Kanu, why is it Nigerian government is still holding Nnamdi Kanu? Does Nnamdi Kanu deserve freedom? Why is it that talks about Nnamdi Kanu have died out? But if there is any problem now, the people will start aligning it with Nnamdi Kanu. Why is an Nigerian journalist keeping quiet? Is this Nnamdi Kanu a bad person? Is it what people think he is? What is he fighting for? So this is what we'll focus today on this today program. That will throw us back to Nnamdi Kanu, what Nnamdi Kanu really means, what Nnamdi Kanu really wants, and how do we help to tackle this problem. I will bring you back to some of Nnamdi Kanu's video, and that tells us more about Nnamdi Kanu. I hope you will just enjoy this video with me tonight. We know that several courts in Nigeria, have set Nnamdi Kanu free, but the Nigerian government refused to grant those verdicts that have been given by their own courts. So Nigerian court up to today have not found Nnamdi Kanu guilty. And journalists are not talking about that. They watch Nigerian government breaking their own law. Somebody said once that when you look at Nigerian custody system, you will not find any prominent Northerners being hit there. If I will find what happened to the EFCC chairman, normally when they call the Yahoo boy, they give them a signboard and post their picture online so that we can see. Even this one, they haven't done it. Even also the one they find Abakari, a top cop, who also they find guilty, they haven't done that. But Nnamdi Kanu have been detained there with all innocency, with all the verdicts. Even some of the verdicts asked Nigerian government to write an apology letter and compensate Nnamdi Kanu still yet. Okay, we cried. There is a cry about Nnamdi Kanu's health. They asked him, okay, you should bring Nnamdi Kanu out. He's not feeling well. This could not help too. So today again, we just throw you back to see this Nnamdi Kanu, his interview in America. So I hope you stay tuned and watch with me if you can. Thank you. It's a very nice one, and I know this interview is very important to many of us. Let's watch and listen.
In a state, but it has to be economically viable, and you can't really have that with Nigeria as it is. How do we get there?
We cannot be economically viable if we are not politically viable.
Right.
And political viability means complete and absolute independence.
It has to have it.
We must be independent. Yeah. And again, God creates countries and nations, and not man. There are many ways that nations can emerge. It is always an organic process. We understand that. We respect that. What most commentators don't appreciate about Africa, and which most Africans are a bit slightly uncomfortable with, is that somebody coming from Europe and without regard for your culture, your traditions, your way of life, saying you are now in one country and your name is Nigeria.
Right.
There is something unnatural about it.
Yes. I
said to the British government, if you had come, conquered my people, which is a...
Now, guys, before Nnamdi Kanu continue this, let's say this. We're just going back to the amalgamation. We all know that Nigerian amalgamation is not totally right. It's just a group of 2 or 3 people oppressed by the colonialism. They went together and declared that forced by Lugan to say that these people are one. So there's nothing like what Nnamdi Kanu is trying to push back here. There's nothing to show that these people are back. Even before the independent, we know that there is a problem in the South or the Southeast, you call it, that the people refused to associate themselves with the Nigerian idea. They were forced into that. And we know that Britain, establishing Nigeria is all about their economic gain. There's nothing too unique about people. There's nothing that bring people and say these people, they share any common idea or common goal that should bring them all together. This is why Nnamdi Kanu is going back on this topic. He was trying to make everything clear that even he actually make this way. He say if let's say Britain colonize the Igbos or colonize the country entirely and hand them over with a value like the way they enjoy in other areas, then they say fine, that's fine. But in this way, there's nothing. This topic and this interview is very important. I think he answered this interview. This interview was granted in Radio America, and after this interview, we can still look on more and think about this, that if Nigeria is a country that will well established and a country that people make a conscious decision, why are they fighting? Why, since the build of Nigeria, we know what happened in 1957 during the coal mine, which a lot of Enugu people were killed by Britain. So since then, we actually heard about 1929 about Abia women. We had a lot. So the country have not been together for once. So now, why are they still holding together? That's what Nnamdi Kanu is asking you. So let's go on.
Natural human process. Yeah. That is entirely natural. Right. If you had conquered our people, made us English, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But to come and hand over a children of God over to something completely alien, this same culture that we have in the north, which is an Islamic culture, tried to take us over many years ago, and they failed. You now came and completed the cycle for them. There is something evil about it.
Yeah, something inorganic about it.
Inorganic, yeah. Very, very inorganic. And you cannot. We don't talk about economic development, because before you talk about economy, you talk about things like policies, both macro and micro, the rest of it. You are dealing with people who cannot differentiate between macro and micro.
No, absolutely. That's right. A problem. Yeah. Education is key for the world outside Biafra, and that's where this starts. The political has to start in the education.
That's correct.
When you speak to people in the UK, people in the US, is there an openness to independence for Biafra?
No, there isn't. It's what you get is very condescending, wishy-washy. These are Black Africans. Really, what do they know? Sort of attitude. We know best than they do, and we try as much as possible to enlighten and educate the American and, by extension, the European audience to the fact that before you had freedom and liberty in any part of the world, in Biafra land we had freedom and liberty. Before you had political asylum in any other part of the world, where I come from, there was political asylum being granted to people. That is the meaning of Biafra anyway. Come and join if you believe in our value system. We had a series of both political, legal, and legislative structures that endured for thousands of years. These were unceremoniously swept away in the name of, I don't know, civilization or advancement.
Right.
Therefore, the British must be questioned, or the mentality or the psyche of Europeans and, by extension, Americans must be put to the test to explain, to rationalize why the emergence of states in Africa cannot be allowed to adopt the same organic route by which every other civilized nation emerged.
So, guys, what Nnamdi Kanu said now,
Americans and Europeans,
is very important,
and their answers are not good. They're
if you are listening to this thing now, so Nnamdi Kanu, we know, was in prison because of his honesty. Nnamdi Kanu is not in prison because he committed any crime. Nnamdi Kanu was not kidnapped because he's doing something wrong. The idea now, the question Mazi Nnamdi Kanu asked here, it's good that we visit this, not now that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in prison that we'll start to talk. Nnamdi Kanu asked, he said, why is it that we can't enjoy the same thing that we are enjoying in European world? We are enjoying in UK, you are enjoying in America, you are enjoying in EU. Why is it that way? Why is it that we they want, like maybe the people of Biafra want to have a government that is functioning, that people can have avenue, that people can have access to healthcare. Why is it not working? Why don't you have that? Look, even here in Australia, you saw trend, you saw the way the country is developing. Recently, I was watching the television. I saw that they have flying car, a flying electrical car. That's the next thing, the next idea. But do you know that in a country like Nigeria, there's nothing like that? The people's talents continue to die. Every day, what we struggle, maybe you're Yoruba, you're Igbo, who is the leader, that there's nothing to show about the country. So Nnamdi Kanu was asking them, why is it that the country cannot work that way? Why is it that they cannot allow and support a country that have vision that way? And the guy that interviewed Nnamdi Kanu in Radio America say the answer will be very bad. And he knows this. So why can't we give that support? In fact, when I listen to this Nnamdi Kanu, I say, no, okay, today's free show that will focus on Nnamdi Kanu. And also, I told myself, that's true. When you go to Biafran people, a lot of them are very, very naturally talented. If you come to the eastern side, you will find that you saw the young people doing some magnificent job. All they needed is just 30 tweaks in order to start. Steady light, good road, water, and maybe supportive of government. That's all they needed in order to excel. Today, what Nnamdi Kanu is saying is also affecting many of us, that even in the foreign country, both the Igbo outside Yoruba, a lot of professionals outside today, why they are there is because of the country is not viable. It's not an enable environment. A lot of doctors here in Australia, I'm telling you now, about 85 to 90% of them is because of the country is not functioning. The same. Why can't we have that? So does Nnamdi Kanu, for speaking truth, deserve to be in jail? If the world is so sincere that when you say the truth, that the world back you, why can't the UN, the EU, the American and UK, even the AU, fight for the release of Nnamdi Kanu? Why can't they fight for releasing Nnamdi Kanu? Nnamdi Kanu does not deserve even for one day to be there. He did not commit any crime. If there's anybody that deserves to be there, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be there. So let's just listen to him. It's very important that we listen to this thing.
That is what makes you a human being, or else you're an animal. And being forced to live in cages in Africa, or being forced to live more or less like animals, is not a situation we are prepared to tolerate for very long.
No.
Death is better.
Have there been armed clashes between Biafrans and Boko Haram? Has there been a defense of Biafrans?
No, not at all, because we are not allowed to defend ourselves. They can kill us. They can get arms flowing in from Lebanon, from Iran, from Saudi Arabia. There are jihadists coming from all over the place, coming in there. There was a plane load of arms that came in, was detained at the airport from Egypt. The Arab world, that is what drives me insane. The Arab world and the Islamic world are busy supporting Boko Haram in their stated aim of spreading Islam to Christians in Nigeria. The Christian world are not reciprocating. They're not coming to our rescue. I don't know how you can defend yourself against somebody who is armed with RPGs, armed with AK-47s. I don't know if you do that through prayer and fasting. I do not know.
Right.
But that is the sort of condition we're faced with. In other words, as we speak right now, the process of Islamization is gathering momentum, and no one is doing anything.
Right. It's medieval. It's you will convert or you will die.
They crucified some people. Was it 2 days ago? I think we've got the pictures on Facebook.
They actually
crucified some people.
They actually crucified.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It's something ISIS is doing that they're doing that we're going to. You either convert or we kill you. And I don't know why the world expects us to deal with that. It's either there is something going on. It's either everyone else is a Muslim. That's why I say sometimes that everyone in the West is a Muslim. That's what I say, because you couldn't possibly keep quiet when such a thing is going on.
No.
It's terrible.
No.
Terrible.
You're opening my eyes in ways I knew this was going to be eye-opening. I did not realize what is happening. Who is Boko Haram organically? Are they a government creation? Are they...
Boko Haram is, you need to understand the geopolitics of Nigeria to then start comprehending the concept or the ideology that drives the insanity that is Boko Haram. In the north, you have the areas you call the Mohammedan Emirates of the North.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who are predominantly, by ancient culture and tradition, Islamic. They are Hausa, Fulani people. In the west, coming down near Lagos, is you have the Yoruba people, and in the east, you have the Biafran people. Now, the Hausa Fulani people, we are told by the British that they have the right to rule in perpetuity Nigeria. The British in 1953 and 57 were involved in a massive fraud to rig the census results. In other words, they skewed the numbers to always favor the Hausa Fulani people that they may remain in power. And the reason for that is that the British is scared that Biafran people, especially the Igbos, are somehow...
Now, guys, you see, if if you're from the Western world, you see sometimes you say, "Oh, scam." What Nnamdi Kanu was telling us old history. When you talk about the fraud, we never measure the fraud of the Western in Nigerian politics. Up to today, they continue to mingle. We saw what happened, even the current one, that when somebody, they definitely know that this person did not win the election. They were all calling and trying to get their choke into the Nigerian bank of resource, and they turn their blind eye in whatever they are doing. So when you go to Western world, that's why when I see people say fraud, I say, fraud, is it only happening in a Western world? Why can't we be sincere both outside and inside? If you mean that you don't want fraud, then you say no to any form of fraud. You cannot just say, okay, I protect the citizens of my country and the citizens of other countries, you care less. When we want to treat fraud, we treat it, irrespective of what country, in anywhere, in any form, we say no to it. But Britain, they will quickly come out and say, okay, Africa is corrupt. But now, who is playing those games in Africa? Is Britain, is America, is EU. All these men, they know what happened. I was watching the conference in France, whereby the French government is actually embracing Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I asked myself, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu have that history in France, will they do that? I know a lot of blacks in France today, if they have problem, they don't appreciate them. They tag them on it. They will not allow them to come close to their office. But because it's in Africa, their life matters not. Even here in Australia, if you have those kind of criminal record, you will not come, they will not even give you a chance to even come close to kids. But I haven't seen Australian government, so that's why I keep quiet now. But we are appreciating that. We see American jubilating. If you have that, go to apply American visa today, you tell them that you have a criminal record, they will not give you visa. They will instantly deny you. They will say you have no good character. But you see America, they are totally embracing Bola Ahmed Tinubu because they have evil and crime intention. That's what Nnamdi Kanu was asking them now. Why are we double standard? If you believe that this is not also acceptable, why will you allow it to be acceptable in another country? If you believe that people to steal is not good in your country, why will you support people they are stealing in another country? I believe that wherever crime is committed, if it's a crime, it's a crime. It doesn't matter what country or wherever it's done. The same thing that applied, you applied. If you know that if people commit crime in your country, you will not allow them to be in politics, then you should not support politics or politicians that commit crime to gain power. This is what Nnamdi Kanu was saying now, how the Britain rigged Nigeria election. By all means, they rigged the election. If Africa that you're seeing today that is corrupt, it's been taught by Britain. That's how the corruption came in. Africa wasn't corrupt. It's Britain that teach them that you can do this and get away with it. This is how it's been done. That's what Nnamdi Kanu was explaining here. You can listen more.
Human. That we can think properly.
Yeah.
And we have the oil. The oil wells the reserves, everything is where we come from. And the British couldn't retain or sustain their colonial presence in Africa because the USA asked them to leave. So what they now did is to take the control of the oil, hand it over to a group of people they think they can manipulate very easily. That's all. That's what has happened. And now they now believe that they have the right to rule. Unfortunately for them, President Goodluck Jonathan, the incumbent, emerged out of circumstances that could be described as somehow mysterious. He came up as the president, and now they don't like it. 3 people funded Boko Haram. The ex-president, head of state Buhari, another ex-head of state, Hausa Fulani Islamic person called Babangida, another vice president, Atiku Abubakar. They consciously went out to fund Boko Haram because Buhari said after Jonathan won the 2011 elections that I will make the country ungovernable. He said it openly. And they went ahead to do it by killing poor, defenseless Biafran Christians because they know that Christians around the world will not come to our rescue.
Yeah.
They also know that no other people will come to our rescue because they don't want us to emerge as a people. That's a problem.
Yeah. So the British don't want you to emerge as a people.
No.
Aha.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Massive. But this time around, whether they like it or not, I'm sure the British didn't want the USA to emerge either.
No.
Whether they like it or not, we shall emerge.
Yeah.
Or everything else there will die.
It'll have to. I mean, It's one or the other at this point.
One thing has to happen. Either we have Biafra or we all die. There's no going back this time around. There'll be no exile, no running away. That is our land. We've lived there for thousands of years. That's where we were born. That's where we'll die.
Yeah. Are you all willing to go back and be there?
At the drop of a heart, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a heartbeat.
Yeah.
We'll go there.
And obviously loved ones are there. And
they're there. My parents are there. My loved ones are there.
Yeah.
And it's a land we've been in for, as I said,
thousands of years. And a history and a rich culture and a vibrant way of life that has literally been
obliterated.
Yeah.
You go to the book of Leviticus. 80% of what you have in the book of Leviticus occurs where I come from. 80%. 80%.
The Levitical law.
Everything. It wasn't us. I strongly believe, this is my hypothesis. Of course, I hold on to it very strongly. As soon as the British discovered in the late 18th century, because the same Hausa Fulani people in Zamfara told them, I think I have the map somewhere in London, that across that river lies what they believe to be part of the lost tribe of Israel, or hell broke loose.
Yeah.
There was then a very systematic and deliberate policy to obey.
I think Nnamdi Kanu deserve freedom. Nnamdi Kanu deserve freedom. Nnamdi Kanu, as you all know, that he was in prison because of saying the truth. The truth is bitter, but he is willing to say the truth. And that truth is what he's telling the world. Say the book of Leviticus, if he goes there, about 80% of what is written there is all about Igbos. And the similar culture and a lot of things. If you know, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will always associate Igbos to Israel. Now, guys, we ask ourselves, why will a man who said the truth be in prison? I think this way, if Nigerian government believe that he's fighting for the people, then Nnamdi Kanu have not called that people should come out of Nigeria. He haven't said that before. What he said give people free will of choice, allow them to vote. If they say they don't want Biafra, then we go on. Then that means you have settled this matter. Moreover, the name Nigeria is a very foreign name. It's not emotionally attached to anybody. So if you are actually making a living thinking that, oh, Nigeria is not a name that attached to anybody. I don't know the meaning of Nigeria. A lot of things about Nigeria you can't explain. If you ask me what is written in the Naira with Arab, I don't know. I'm not anyhow attached to Arabian country. I don't even, cherish anything to do with Arab. So that was Nnamdi Kanu was trying to say here, that if a country have to be together, there must be mature understanding where everything flourish and bring enable environment to people. But in this case, Nnamdi Kanu is not seeing those things. So he asked the government, call referendum so that people can be able to decide. Only this word today have put Nnamdi Kanu to prison for almost 2 years now. We know how Nnamdi Kanu went there. And Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya by Nigerian Secret Service and Kenyan Secret Service. They joined together to kidnap. The case is still in court. But you know what? I hope and we pray the way we are listening, the way we are hearing news, that some lawyers in UK also are taking up the case and asking the government to bring Nnamdi Kanu home. Definitely, this case, I told people that Nigerian government, that's the highest mistake they make. When Nnamdi Kanu was caught, he was not caught with Nigerian passport. It was not even with Nigerian document. So there's nothing there to identify Nnamdi Kanu with Nigeria. And true again, when Nnamdi Kanu was born, he was not born as a Nigerian. Nnamdi Kanu was born as a Biafra. So this is something that people need to understand. Nnamdi Kanu was born as a Biafra. He was not born in Nigeria. So a lot of things here that we need to take onto. So let's listen to Nnamdi Kanu. It's very important. I like this interview because that gives you, chance to see the mind of Nnamdi Kanu and know Nnamdi Kanu in person. You see? So listen to him.
They will tell you. And I see no reason why a people that believe in the irreducibility of an individual, that believes in liberty, that believes in equality and in freedom, the same creed, the same ideals upon which this very great nation, USA, was founded upon, why would you not naturally gravitate towards those people? I can't understand it.
Right.
And if you want to stop the menace of Boko Haram, they should support the creation of Biafra. That's all they need to do. We don't want them to do anything. Just come at the UN or make a press statement in the White House by saying that the people of Biafra, their suffering is intolerable. We may have to revisit the issue of them still belonging to one Nigeria. That's what they need to say. That's all.
And it would change.
It's done. Yeah. It's a game changer. It's finished.
Yeah. Wow.
We don't need US troops to come.
No.
We are more than capable. We held out for 3 years.
Yeah.
Against the combined minds of Britain, USSR, and the entire Arab world for 3 years. So we can deal with them. Trust me, we can. We can.
And do they want that? Does Boko Haram want that? Do they want that violent end?
They do. And sometimes in life, you need to confront them violently.
Yeah.
Or else it will continue to fester.
Yeah.
We must meet them.
And that's hard as Christians.
Yes.
That's hard.
Very, very hard, because we don't take life where we come from.
No.
In other cultures and religion and language, you call another person a human being or a person. Where we come from, we say matter, which means the beauty of life. So you're forbidden from killing anybody.
Yeah.
You don't kill somebody, because that is the embodiment of God's creation. A person is known as matter. Matter means beauty of life. So you don't take life. So it's very hard for us.
Yeah. But you've been pushed.
No, we are being killed.
Yeah.
Killed.
Not pushed, killed.
Not pushed. We are being killed.
Let me ask a couple.
Sure.
I'll sit down here too. Christians, by and large, seem to be oriented towards individual faith, and they seem to be reluctant to face the fact that at times war is necessary. Yes. They call the concept of a holy war being something that you have to struggle with. How have you looked at that? How do you take your faith and the need to sometimes go to war? How does that work for you? How have you? Because you're a very thoughtful man, and I know you've had to look at these issues and defend it.
Yes, the thing is my faith taught me to value life, to try to live by the same tenets that have been preached over the years, as contained in the Bible. But there comes a time when self self-preservation takes precedence over and above whatever we may think suits us individually. Because by going to war, we are seeking to preserve, in our case, the children of God. If you do nothing, you become extinct. And there will be no one left to worship God where we come from. So the best thing for us to do is to try as much as possible to reason or come to some level of agreement or accommodation with our adversaries, which has failed so far.
Thank you so much for sticking to this video to the end. Like I said before, now it's time for us to go to the comment section to air our mind and our opinion. Say what you think about this video and this platform. Do it constructively. Share this video, like, subscribe, and also continue to watch Linda's TV show, because this is the home of news. Until I see you again in my next video, remain blessed. For now, I would say bye-bye.